Do you have pain in your SI joint? Do you have nagging low back pain around your belt line on one side? Have you been told that you have a bad SI joint? If so, this video is going to be great for you. Hey, I'm Dr. Ian from Wellington Family Chiropractic, and today I'm talking about a condition we see in the office called SI joint dysfunction. In other words, sacroiliac joint dysfunction. Now, what is that? Well, the sacroiliac joint is a big joint in your body at the base of your spine, where your sacrum, or the triangular bone at the base of your spine, connects into the pelvis. Now, obviously this isn't the best art, but we're close here. And it's all where you see the blue, that would be the SI joint. So this is a very stable joint. The way it fits together, it doesn't move a whole lot, but it does transfer a lot of force from the lower leg into the spine. So a lot of the ground force from walking and working out and running all gets transferred through this area. So if it is dysfunctional, it can create a lot of pain. And a lot of times people come in thinking they have a lot of SI joint dysfunction. So true symptoms of SI joint dysfunction, if it's the upper 1/3, a lot of times you'll get pain up around what's called your PSIS, which is a portion of the pelvis. That's usually around the belt line or just above it. So it can feel like lower back pain, or it's just kind of down into the top of your glute. The mid 1/3 usually goes into the glute or your butt cheek. The lower 1/3 goes down in towards the hamstring attachment area. So it can create a lot of pain, but the funny thing about SI joints is that it's typically not the SI joint that's your issue. Studies have shown that it's only about 13% of the time it's actually your SI joint. So when we're taking care of somebody with pain in that area, we essentially just assume it's the lumbar spine, because close to 90% of the times it's coming from the lumbar spine. So we assume that first until it's proven otherwise. And then we think maybe the SI joint is the actual culprit. So what are the causes or things that can lead to true SI joint dysfunction? Well, one, if you have a huge leg discrepancy in terms of length and your pelvis is super tilted, that is something that will cause SI joint dysfunction. Congenital defects where it just doesn't form right can cause it. Pregnancy is a big one, because you're gaining weight, obviously your belly's getting bigger, and then you have hormone-induced ligament laxity, where the ligaments around that area are loosening. That can create a lot of dysfunction, so we actually see that more often in our pregnancy or pregnant patients. The most common thing is typically some sort of trauma. So maybe you slipped on the stairs and you fell right on your butt. That can cause some SI joint dysfunction. But like I said, excluding those things, a lot of times it's not the SI joint. So the first thing you need to do if you have pain in that area is you really need to zero in on what the actual issue is. Now, if it is the SI joint, what do we do to work on it? Well, if it doesn't move well, so if it had an old injury and it's just gotten stiff, chiropractic adjustments or spinal manipulation work really well for that. And it's been shown that those work better than a lot of other therapies out there. We want to get the joint moving well. If it's stuck, if it's unstable due to injury, we want to work on stabilizing it. And then obviously we want to get the area functioning as well as possible. So we usually focus on lumbar and pelvic stability exercises from there. The majority of our patients do really well with exercises if it's true SI joint dysfunction. So what I'm going to share with you are a couple easy exercises you can do to stabilize the muscles around the SI joint, but it may not be your SI joint unless you've had a good assessment and you know for sure that's it. But either way, if you have pain in that area, these exercises should help. Okay, so the next stretch we're going to go over is the supine, or just lying on your back, piriformis stretch. So for this, Jacob is going to start with his leg crossed in front of him, and then he's going to pull this knee straight that direction until he can't go any further. So again, this stretches the piriformis, the glutes, all along the back side of the hip through here. And then what he can do is contract his knee into his hands, so into that resistance for 7 seconds. Relax, and then he can increase the stretch by bringing it further. So each time you contract, relax, a lot of times you'll notice you can stretch a little bit further once you let go of that contraction. So what you can do is 3 sets of the contract, relax, and you can do this stretch 1 to 2 times a day. Okay, guys, so this next stretch is a standing TFL stretch. So we talked about that muscle that sits right here and connects into the IT band. So for this stretch, he is going to go into a split stance with the TFL he's stretching. That leg goes behind. Most of your body weight is going to be put onto this leg. This front leg is bent and there's not much of your body weight on that. So from there, he's going to sink that glute towards the wall and rotate the pelvis away a little bit. And you want to think about keeping the sternum over that hip. And he should feel that stretch right in through there. Now to contract and relax with this stretch is he's going to think about taking this foot towards the wall, or if he was sliding that leg towards the wall, 7 seconds, and then he would relax and let that sink further down in. Again, contract for 7 seconds, sink down into the stretch, and you would do 3 sets of the 3 contract and relax cycles. And you can do this stretch every day. Okay, guys, next exercise we're going to do is called a posterior lunge. So the way that I like to set this up at home is to do it at the kitchen counter or the counter or something to where you can just grab a hold of that and you're going to use that as a counterbalance as you lunge posterior or backwards. So Jacob's going to do this. We're going to do it with the right hip. So he's going to keep that leg firmly planted, keep that weight of his body into the heel. As he brings that other leg behind him, he's going to go down without letting, we try to keep that from hitting the ground and then right back up. So we want most of when he comes back up, we want him to be contracting this glute and really pushing in with his heel there. And then the other thing, if we do one more set, we don't want the knee shoving way out in front of the hip, or I'm sorry, the foot. So it should stay relatively over the center of the foot there as he goes back, and then get a good contraction in the glute, and then you can use this to make it a little bit easier and hold on to. So that's the posterior lunge. 3 sets of 10 typically is all you need, and you can do this every day or every other day. Okay, so the next exercise we're going to go over is a semi-stiff deadlift. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have Jacob start with his thumbs on the bottom of his rib cage and then some fingers at the top of his pelvis. And what we're going to want to see throughout this is we don't want to see the space there get shorter, in other words, rounding, and then we don't want to see the space between the two, get bigger. So he should stay relatively still between his rib cage and his pelvis. It all should move together. So he's going to, while holding that, he's going to bend one leg, keeping the other leg straight, and he's going to lean forward, keeping all this neutral. He should feel a lot of tension along the back here and come right back up. Forward and right back up. So 3 sets of 10, even though this doesn't look like much, would be all you need. And you can do this exercise every single day or every other day or as much as you would like. All right, guys, so there you have it. Some easy stretches, some easy exercises to work on this condition at home. As always, if you ever have questions, we're always here for you at 859-309-1996 or at wellchiropractic.com. Have a great day.